G'day, wonderful listeners. This is episode 46 of Trev's Talk, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week, I told how John the leaderman from the BCC Church had agreed to me giving a talk on Medjugorje and my experiences there at his next week's Sunday service. His regular guest speaker for that Sunday had rung in and cancelled, leaving a spot free for me to speak. So I was all set to speak at his church. I had given a document to John which had extracts from the cover of my book. There was a short mention of me, the author, and a few facts like having family, date and place of birth, living a second marriage, and having children, etc. The second extract was a blurb, or pitch, telling a bit about the book's content to capture the interest of any possible reader and making them likely to want to buy the book. It turns out that John had shared that document with the leader group from his church, and they had collectively decided that my talk and offer of my book would be more appropriate to present to their Bible study group rather than the usual congregation at the Sunday service. The Bible study group numbers only 17 to 20, which would be a pretty small audience, but I thought of Bobby giving me GBs, as I told you in last episode, and that made me think the spiritual world might be involved, so I agreed to present my talk and offer of my book to the smaller audience. The talk will not take place now until after Christmas, due to the timing of the next Bible study group meeting. But that's okay, I can wait. After agreeing to the change of audience for my Medjugorje talk, I received a text from Kathy, the organiser of Adoration of the Blessed Sacrament, which I've mentioned in previous episodes as sitting quietly in a chapel with the Eucharist exposed in a special stand. It is a custom of Catholics, and they call it sitting with Jesus and seeking to make a relationship with him. Anyway, the text from Kathy said the next Sunday was the 1-year anniversary of starting the adoration custom at our regular church, and she wanted me to attend the anniversary celebration after the 9 o'clock Mass with a morning tea and gathering from 10 a.m. Now that strikes me as a possible spiritual world intervention, because John from the BCC Church changed the date of my talk and book offer from 10 a.m. Sunday, making that time free for me to attend Kathy's adoration morning tea. I could not attend Kathy's tea unless John changed the time of my talk to them. So I've still got an opportunity to give my Medjugorje talk to John's Bible study group, even though it has been put forward to later, and I am free to attend Kathy's anniversary morning tea. I wonder if Our Lady or the Holy Spirit wanted me at that morning tea. In episode 44, I talked about me learning of a new sheikh, Sheikh Shakib, who was well known by Wade, Colleen's friend, and Wade was setting up a possibility for me to ring the sheikh and get a meeting with him. I was hoping to get such a meeting, as my chances for a meeting with Sheikh Ajurdian had been squashed because he was too busy arranging his daughter's wedding. Well, since then, I did get an opportunity to ring the new sheikh, who I've since learned is called Sheikh Mohammed. Wade set up the chance for me to ring this sheikh, and for that I am truly grateful, because when I did ring him, he agreed to meeting with me at the Perth Mosque. This was a huge breakthrough. I had been trying one thing after another for weeks to meet with the leader of the Muslim community and had been met with block after block against me. So you can imagine my relief when Sheikh Mohammed graciously granted me a hearing. When meeting the Sheikh face to face, I found him to be a very nice person who was calm and relaxed. He made me feel at ease. He did not put me under any pressure to hurry through my presentation of the Moody Scholarship Fund project. I wanted to explain clearly how the project is designed to help advance education, health and well-being of underprivileged Aboriginal students. I also wanted him to see that the project, if co-founded by the three great faiths, Muslim, Jew and Christian, would have a counter effect against Islamophobia as well as against anti-Semitism. The project is good for both Muslims and Jews in the eyes of the general public. I wanted to get those points across before I came to the subject of money. I didn't want to bring the money side of things up until he was really aware of the project's advantages. I didn't want to frighten him off, so to speak. However, when I did raise the question of annual funding required, the Sheikh took it in his stride. He was not put off and said that his mosque often raised funds for projects that they could see were advantageous to struggling groups, like the people in Gaza or Aboriginal kids. He asked me to email my request for the annual contribution to him at the Perth Mosque, and he would put my request to the committee in person. I got the impression that my request would sail through. So the next morning, I emailed Sheikh Mohammed at the Perth Mosque stating that funding was required for awarding scholarships to Aboriginal kids, and added a second shorter email stating how much was required and gave the Moody Scholarship Fund's bank details. So now it is again one of those wait and see things. I just have to be patient to see if I can get an email from the Sheikh or whether the Moody Scholarship Fund bank account is credited with the requested funds. In episode 44, I also mentioned that I forwarded a letter to Rabbi Freilich, who is the retired chief rabbi, who took part in the symbolic ceremony of planting an olive tree at Notre Dame Uni at Fremantle back in 2016. He was the Jewish representative for that Three Faith initiative, which I have mentioned in previous episodes. It is now a month since the Secretary of the Jewish Community Council of WA forwarded on my letter to the rabbi as an attachment to an email. I will wait a bit yet before thinking there will be no reply, as the lady that forwarded my letter a month ago did say that Rabbi Freilich was retired and on holiday. In my face-to-face meeting with Sheikh Mohammed, I spoke of earlier, he suggested I try to get a progressive Jew to be the representative for the Jewish part of the Three Faiths project. I was thinking about that recently and had an inspiration to ask Boris, my AI assistant, whether he could tell me of a progressive Jew and their contact details in Perth. Guess what? Boris did me proud. He gave me Rabbi Kim Ettlinger of the Temple David in Mount Lawley, Perth. So I've taken the bold step of sending her an email at the address Boris supplied me, and now wait to see if she answers. I've asked for a meeting to discuss a project which fights against anti-Semitism, hoping that will get her interest. My meeting with Sheikh Mohammed taught me a few things on how to approach the Jew representative in such a way as to increase my chances of getting a good result. If I don't get a reply from Rabbi Kim within a week or so, I have an idea of how I can send her a follow-up email which could possibly grab her attention. Well, wonderful listeners, there are some interesting things to look forward to next week, but sad to say, we've reached the end of this week. Please subscribe if not already done so. This is Trev tuning out for this week.